Welcome to this episode of WinField United. Today, Jonah and I are on the road. We're here at the West Liberty answer plot. We're joined with Dan Griffin and Rickard from WinField United, two key people that we work with in our jobs. You know, they do a nice job here with this plot as far as bouncing back and forth different ideas and concepts. Jonah and I are here today principally on a seed training mission.
Yes, sir.
Trying to get a handle and a look at some of these new hybrids that are coming about for next season.
Yeah, what really goes on here with our answer plot system at WinField United, Dan and I kind of work hand in hand with each other. So we do a lot of things here to essentially for you guys to kind of trickle down to your growers at the end of the day. I do a lot with the practices agronomy wise, and we look at Dan with the seed focus that he's got there.
Right, so the answer plot to us is really about linking agronomy and the seed decision. There's a lot of strong hybrids, strong varieties out there, but the edge we feel like WinField United has through a retailer like Heritage is the management, the placement. How can we best put all these seed products in a position where they can succeed?
Absolutely. Yeah, so you take a look at this plot and you pan around, the corn, the beans, they just look awesome. I mean, everything looks good, all our partner brands, the cropland, it really looks good. One thing that I have noticed and what we can do right at this tassel time, you notice I got this leaf here that I just pulled out of one of the blocks right now, seeing some gray leaf spot. Usually we'll see it right about this time. Some of the other diseases may be a little bit further down in through the season. But really what we can do is fungicide, micronutrient application, making sure we got the right adjuvants in that tank to penetrate and get deposition down through that canopy. Yeah, so when you think about, just think about some of the weather patterns that we've had that we got over the last 2 weeks, really. You know, we think about some of that, we've got rain, high humidity, some of these low grounds, and you know, you guys this end of the world where home's right at, some of that bottom ground where that fog just lays, right? 9, 10 o'clock gets burned off. We've got some issues with diseases that's going to pose up there.
Yeah, and I think it's cool, too, to relate that back, you know, principally, you know, a little bit more on Dan's involvement. The seed part of what we learn here is right now as we start to see these diseases flare up, go through and see the disease packages some of these newer hybrids have and what we're used to with maybe some of our traditional products like 4997 Cropland, 5370. You know, we get a look at the new poster child like 5497 and things of that, and some of the newer ones coming from the cow as well.
Yeah, part of the research we do here at the answer plot is the corn characterization trial. So that's where we generate the data that we use to put a response score in terms of fungicide for these hybrids. So you mentioned 4997. That's a low response to fungicide hybrid. So typically we'd see on average 10 bushels to the acre return on that from that particular hybrid. But yeah, this is the most valuable crop we've raised in some time. So, you know, 10 bushels here, that means a lot of money to a grower. So to echo some of Joe's comments, I think in corn, you're looking out for zinc, for boron. In beans, manganese, boron, and zinc too. Those are the big ones we're looking at in terms of maximum grain fill, nutrients where we can still make it different in this crop. Again, the most valuable crop we've raised in many years.
Absolutely. And you know, with what we've done, you know, last couple of years on tissue test, you know, that we've taken that spoon feed approach to a lot of these micronutrients.
And you said the word tissue test. We have time to get a tissue test pulled and send plain flies. Yeah. So we can dial in these applications.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's something we definitely need to keep in mind. You know, we have time for these guys if they want to pull a tissue sample.
If you know, get that test, get an analysis, get a look at it, get a gauge on what you can do to move the needle with this crop.
The way we look at tissue testing is it's an investment. We want to apply more of what we need and nothing that we don't. Absolutely. So if we pull a tissue test and we don't need zinc, we need boron, we want to double up on that boron application and really make it an investment, not about just applying nutrients willy-nilly.
And I think the cool thing, going back to what Joe said earlier, one of those key components of that whole program is that master lock piece.
Yep.
Making sure that you're getting it all the way down into that canopy.
Yep.
And I know you've done a lot of tests in the past, you know, with the paper to see what kind of penetration we're getting with that airplane and throwing that downwash down in.
Yeah, you're one of your internal guys that you work with, Mark Smith and I. We looked at some stuff last year with the airplane that, you know, is going to be flying around applying a lot of this fungicide. You know, ultimately saw better deposition with 3 gallons over the 2 gallons. Yeah. I mean, we're getting more water in there, more deposition with that master lock to get clear, to get that foliage covered all the way down through.
Yeah, and gray leaf spot, right? It's over its winters on residue. It's going to start on the bottom, work their way up. We want to keep it off the ear leaf. That's the key idea. But If we're just starting to see it develop at the bottom of the plant, we're using an adjuvant like Master Lock. We're applying as much care as we can to drive that fungicide lower.
And Dan, explain to folks, a lot of times they see gray leaf on a corn plant, they apply fungicide. Do those lesions go away?
They do not go away. So, waiting until you see the disease to apply fungicide, you've already lost yield, especially in a crop like this that looks so good. We want to, again, look at this as an investment. We're seeing gray leaf spot early and often this year. And if we see it now on those bottom leaves, we're going to see it move higher. We have a lot of growing season left. And there's more things that spread fungal disease like gray leaf spot than just rain. You mentioned humidity, foggy mornings. Anything that's creating free moisture on that leaf will spread gray leaf spot.
The other component that Dan just mentioned, when you look at our plant health aspect, we're keeping that plant healthier, that strobilurine piece that you have within the fungicides that you guys are recommending to your growers. We're keeping all that stuff moving, slowing that respiration with some of these hot nights that we've had here with that high humidity, slowing that down, keeping some more water and conserve that more water in that plant.
So let's look at the things we've talked about. We've talked about fungicide for plant health to mitigate against disease development. We've talked about feeding micronutrients late season. Both those things really dovetail into kernel fill. We want to maximize kernel fill. Rows around is made. Length in terms of ear is made. Kernel fill, that's our last opportunity to add bushels to this crop.
Yeah, if we're going to add bushels, we're going to have to do it in weight.
Absolutely.
Let's jump over to beans real quick.
Oh, let's go back to beans.
Let's talk about beans. I love beans.
Yeah,
so
we gotta talk
we're talking
about
about beans real
the
quick.
champ.
We're going to make a pass, obviously, you're seeing with fungicide, insecticide. The other things to consider, putting in that tank, your PGR, Joe, fill me out on anything else, a stress mitigation product, and more micros, obviously, as we see fit. I mean, is there anything else we should be looking at?
Yeah, and that piece goes back with the corn also too. I mean, look at product-wise, there's an array of products. We want to look at the pests that we're looking at and going after ultimately, but there's a lot of things that you just named off there that you got to break down. So PGR, Ascend at that higher use rate there. So I'm looking at that 6.4 at that R3 mixed in with the fungicide, no tank mixability issues at all. Really seeing some bump with that. I think you guys have done that over the past. I've seen that too. Also, Dan hit on this, the Maxin manganese product line that we have with either the Ultraman or the FlexiMan that we have, and then the Maxin boron component that you want to spike in with that. And again, you got fungicide in that mix, whatever flavor of the day that we're going to look at, what you guys are going to use, that Master Lock has got to go in the tank too.
Yeah, but I really like, Joe mentioned the Ascend, flower retention, pod retention. All Ascend is, it's a blend of 3 naturally occurring plant hormones. If we can get that plant to feel the right hormonal balance to retain pods, retain flowers, that's a really good day. A soybean plant will abort 75% of the flowers that it produces. If we can get it to retain a few more of those, that's a good day, Jonah.
Yeah. And back to your comment earlier about the tissue test. Get them in on beans as well.
Yep.
When you're going to make that pass, get an idea, get that report card of what that's going to look like.
Guys, thanks for thank you two for joining us.
Absolutely,
today.
we've enjoyed it. I come over.
It's
here.
an honor.
This is. I think the plot looks beautiful. Corn looks great. Beans look great. Beans look probably not as good as yours do, but
I think they got me beat my soul type here. But anyways, thanks you two for showing up and helping us today. And until next time,
we'll catch you then.
Nice, Jonah. Put it on there, bro.
there you go.
Oh, thank you.